As GOP lawmakers demand President Biden do something to help the people of Cuba, the Black Lives Matter organization is torching the United States. It's blaming the economic embargo of Cuba for its problems, calling it an inhumane policy. And it went on to praise the communist regime. Here's a quote from BLM, the org. Cuba has historically demonstrated solidarity with oppressed peoples of African descent, from protecting black revolutionaries to supporting black libertarian struggles, end quote. Users lit up social media. Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio tweeted this: the extortionist ring, known as the Black Lives Matter organization, took a break today from shaking down corporations for millions and buying themselves mansions to share their support for the communist regime in Cuba. Lawrence Jones, Fox and Friends Enterprise reporter, and all around just great mind. Good to see you.
Thanks,
so put your mind on this one.
Yeah.
Senator Rubio, is he right?
He's right, and we had frank conversations during the movement of George Floyd about the organization versus the people that are on the street.
The movement, yeah.
And as I often said, that the organization had their own agenda. See, they're at a crossroads right now. They have to choose the people that are protesting or the ideology that they subscribe to, which is the Marxist ideology that a lot of them traffic in. This is why they want to disrupt the family. They want government control of wealth to redistribute it. And this is why we have the breakout right now in Cuba. So they're choosing their ideology over the people. It's important to note that they have the American flag in Cuba right now because they're saying, I want liberty. I want to be like the Americans.
Yeah, you know, Americans may not be so tapped into the story because it hasn't been about them yet. But we're seeing the race card now be played just like it's being played in American politics right now. And they're doing it, BLM, the organization,
right,
in Cuba. Why is that happening in particular?
It's problematic. It just goes to show you that they're fighting for the ideology that is there to be right here in America as well. And I think that's why you haven't seen not only the organization, but you haven't seen AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar be vocal on this. Remember, these are supposed to be the freedom fighters. These are the people that are
So they're not going to support the people in the streets?
Absolutely not.
They're not taking their street, because they took the street mandates from here during the protesting.
If they did that, then they have to go to the root causes. You know, everybody always wants to talk, well, this new administration wants to talk about root causes. It's the Marxist ideology. So you got to go after that, which is why they have to avoid the issue itself.
So, you know, I don't know if you caught Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell moments ago talking about that's the road that the new spending bill really sets up. And you hear the talk of socialism, but we know what socialism and communism, you know, one more governmental, the other definitely economic, right, what they look like, and why pick that as the shining example? Because it obviously is not working there. Have you seen the streets of Cuba?
But remember, Harris, they have free health care. But it's not quality health care. You see what I'm saying? It's about the free. It's never about the consequences. It's never about how it plays out. It's a good idea to start off with. It sounds good, but when you put it into
free
practice, look at the people. They have rats and they're getting $15 a day to live off of. That's not reasonable.
And stuff is expensive anyway.
Government control.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to this. Major blowback from Republicans after Secretary of State Antony Blinken called on the UN to review the United States treatment of minorities. Blinken says the Biden administration wants to lead other countries by example, but critics are livid over this, calling it a total embarrassment. Watch.
The U.S. is asking the United Nations, a cesspool of political bias, to come into the United States and investigate us on human rights. We look so ridiculous in the eyes of the world right now. This isn't just insane, this is dangerous.
They should tell that rapporteur to pack his bags and head straight to China, where China is committing genocide against religious and ethnic minorities. They should not be coming to the United States, and it's disgraceful that Joe Biden and Tony Blinken have asked them to do so.
Lawrence, your top thoughts on this?
No. I mean, how about y'all clean up your own house before y'all start worrying about America? Like I said in the earlier segment, The people in Cuba have the American flag because they want liberty. We see it. People are coming to America for a reason. How about y'all clean up the UN Security Council? How about you go after China? Bro, I just think when you have the Secretary of State and the President at large, this administration, talk about America this way, it becomes propaganda for Russia, China. What did the Prime Minister
our enemies.
do? Exactly, our enemies.
Yeah.
What did they say? You have people in the streets in America. Every time they use these sound bites, it becomes propaganda for the enemy.
Are you concerned at all? Because I know you travel all over the country. I mean, you were just at CPAC. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you, my friend.
I mean, I watched some of your work on stage with Fox Nation. When you travel and you talk with people, are people sensitive to the issue that they're, but by the grace of God go we, if we're not careful in certain areas of what's pushed right now in a far left agenda? And look, there's always balance. You just don't want an extreme on either side. But what looks concerning to people as you talked with them?
You know what I remember? I remember when I was on the campaign trail in Florida specifically. I spent a lot of time there because it's a swing state. And I went into those communities where they talked about how they fled from communist countries and how bad it was. And the number one issue, they didn't care about all the other issues. They worried about socialism and they worried about government control. And to hear those stories, and why they came to America, that mattered to them. And I think the Democrats have found themselves in a big pickle. They're going to have to decide which side they are. And not talking about these issues, it's not going to help them in Florida because the people, they're going to remember that when you got Pitbull commenting on politics, I mean, I just listen to his music.
Right. Wait till he puts it in a rhyme.
That's right.
We can TikTok to the lyrics,
exactly.
Right? You're from the state of Texas. When you come back, I want to talk with you about what's going on in the politics down there. Yeah. And is there a bigger opportunity for Republicans even outside that state?
I'll just say this because I know we got to go. Texans don't run from a fight. So any Texan that is running for a fight, I think that tells you exactly how they feel and how they feel about the people of Texas.
Well, 2022. And so my quick point was that even outside the state of Texas, since we both have family there, we know what it's like on the ground. That begins to seep into other areas of the country where maybe they're not happy with their leadership and they say, well, would they cut and run too? Maybe we need to replace some of these people. Look, red wave being anticipated on both sides of the aisle, being talked about it. We'll see what happens.
Especially when you're running on a lie, a flat out lie. Washington Post gave it 4 Pinocchios. Do we need another? Do we need to re-rack it and go through these facts of each state to get to the same conclusion, which is people have access to vote? Can we clean up some of the voter rolls and all that? Yes, we can. But people have the access to do it. And so to paint themselves as civil rights heroes, they sound like just Instagram celebrities right now.
Ooh, Lawrence Jones, come back.
Thanks, Harris.
In Focus. Thank you.